Yo Wagwan, hope you're having a good day. This video is going to teach you how to do 808 slides in FL Studio, but not just that. It's also going to teach you where you need to place your 808 slides and what notes you need to use to stop your 808 slides from sounding like trash. But before we slide into another world, turn into a slime, and negotiate peace between humans and monsters, I've got a question for you. That question is, which note should you start your 808 patterns on? Leave your answer down below. If you don't know, don't worry, because I'll be revealing the answer later on in this video. Just stay tuned. Let's get into it. Now, before we start, I just want to clarify something. I do not make drill, but this video will teach you the concepts you need to know in order to do your drill 808 slides. But understand that the way that I use slides are only for trap beats. That's all I know. I don't make drill, I don't listen to drill, I have no idea how to be doing all that, yeah? So I can't give in-depth advice on how to do drill slides. However, this video will explain exactly how 808 slides work and how to implement them in FL Studio, and I'll also be revealing how to use your slides for trap beats with some common slide placements that have worked for me. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the action. First thing you want to do is select a long 808. You don't want a short 808 like the Zay 808. You want a long 808 like the Spins 808. Here's an example of the 808 that I'm going to be using. This is a Spins 808 with some effects on it. When you go into your 808 sample, you want to come over here and you want to set it up like this. You want to hold all the way up, sustain all the way up, everything else all the way down, so you've got more control over the 808. If you're using my beat mixing template, then that will already be set up for you, link down below. Second step is to create your 808 pattern. This is the 808 pattern I've currently got. Maybe we'll use this, maybe we'll change it up. You just got some test chords in the background so you can kind of hear the context, but we might turn those off as well for different examples. Next thing you want to do to create your slide can be done in two ways. You can click this triangle button up here, and this will mean that the next note that you play will slide. Or you can place a note, double click on it, and then click this triangle button, and that will turn it into a slide. Also, you want to go to view, go to scale highlighting, and make sure you're in the correct key of the beat that you're creating. This will help out immensely. The length of the sliding note will determine how long it takes to slide. The longer the note, the longer it's going to take to slide. The shorter the note, the quicker it's going to take to slide. Here's an example. See how it just basically went to that sound immediately. Another example, let's just put it over here. That's how it's done. Next, let's get into slide placement. Where do you want to place your 808 slides? There are a few places that I would suggest to start with. First placement is at the beginning of your original note. So this is the original note down here. If you place a slide at the beginning, you'll get an effect like this. It will kind of just go straight up into that slide. Then you can go half a beat in the other direction. Then you can go one beat. And you can also go 1.5 beats. If you go third beat, you're gonna get bad results. You're basically not gonna hear anything like this. That sounds a bit weird. And fourth beat, you won't hear anything at all, because the 808 is gonna die out before you get there. You can experiment with your placement and basically do what you want, but these are good starting points if you don't know where to start. I also suggest placing the 808 slides in a quarter beat step or a quarter beat so that you have more control. It's also good practice to have another 808 hit at the end of the slide. For example, let's have this slide to there, and then we'll get another hit there. Actually, it'll probably be better there. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Something like that. maybe those wouldn't be the exact notes that I use. Next, we're going to get into the notes that you should be using with your 808 slides. But before we do that, if you want to learn how to create your own beats from scratch, you can use my easy 9-step trap beat making formula in my free course. Link down below, go to jcarterray.com/free trap course. This will take you from making your melody all the way to mastering your beat, and you've got nothing to lose except for the chance to join this free course, because it won't be free and it won't be available forever. So join right now while it's still available. Link down below. Now let's get into what notes you want to use. So making sure that you're seeing everything in the right key is very important here. And the notes that you should slide to are the 3rd, the 5th, and an octave above. That sounds pretty good. These all have different sounds, so you should experiment with them when you're creating your slides and pick the best one. The reason why you want to use these different intervals, the 3rd, the 5th, and the octave above, is because these are notes that will work with your original bass note, because these are notes that are in the chord of your original bass note, like so. This is what the chord would be. So these are the notes that we would want to use, and then an octave above is the exact same note. You could potentially use a 7th if you want to. You can try that out, but I usually go with 3, 5, or the octave above. I usually don't even touch 3, to be fair, but that is an option. Now, using the same rules that I've just taught you, you can also experiment with adding more than one slide. I still suggest using the 3rd, 5th, and octave above notes, as those will generally sound best, but you can also add the 2nd note directly after the 1st note, like something like this. So let's go, that's the 3rd, that's the 5th, let's say that. So you see that has like a different sound. Or we could even hit that there. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. And you can experiment and come up with different patterns. Also, quick tip, don't add too many slides in your 808 patterns. If you're doing too much, it's gonna start to sound annoying. So use it sparingly. I would say generally you only want to do a maximum of 2 slides per 2 bars. So this would be a 2-bar loop because we're in double time. Generally, I wouldn't even go that far. I'd do 1 slide per 2 bars. But I don't know, if you're doing drill and all that sort of stuff, then maybe there's more slides going on around there. But try to keep it minimal and not be sliding on every 808 hit, because that will then make the slides sound less special and it won't have as much of an impact. Now it's time to answer the question that I asked you earlier. That question was, which note should you start your 808 patterns on? The answer is, you should start on the root note of your first chord. And generally, I would suggest to follow the root notes of every chord after that to get your 808 pattern, and this will always sound good. Now, the root note of our first chord for this track is the G. As you can see, if we come over here, G is our root note, this is a G chord, and G is our bass note. So generally you want to follow the bass of your main chords. Quick recap, in order to set up your slides, you can place a note, double click it, click the triangle button, click accept, that will turn it into a note that is slid to, or you can press the triangle button up here and place your note, and it will do the same thing. Make sure you're using a long 808, short 808s will not work well with slides. Also, the notes that you want to use are the 3rd, 5th, and octave above, notes that would be in the chord starting from the original bass note. Where you want to place your slides generally will be a half beat after the start of the original note, immediately at the start of the original note, 1 beat after the start of the original note, a beat and a half after the start of the original note, and you can go to 3 beats later, but I generally would not go that far. That's generally where you want to start with your placement. And don't do too much. Keep it as simple as possible. If you got any questions or any other videos you want me to make, leave a comment down below. Check out that video next, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.